When Disney first acquired Star Wars a few years ago, they teamed up with EA to help them run the series into the ground as fast as possible. From The Last Jedi to loot boxes, this strategy has been a great success. So, does Jedi Fallen Order finally break the cycle of endless disappointments?
It was everything I was expecting it to be, which was, it was okay.
When Sekiro came out earlier this year, everyone was like, man, I hope that new Jedi game copies this combat exactly, and they pretty much did just that. Enemies have a stamina meter you have to wear down before you can damage them. You can hold down the trigger to block automatically or try to time parries to get an opening. There's bonfires that refill your health and respawn all the enemies, you get the idea. There is a distinct lack of enemy variety though, as you'll be fighting the same couple of stormtroopers for the entire game, but honestly, clowning on the stormtroopers never gets old and is the best part of the game by far. What does get old is fighting all the random alien trash mobs. There's a whole lot of spiders and dogs and flying bugs that are a real chore to cut through since they pose basically no threat and are annoyingly common. Like, after I fought this giant spider for the 5th time, I never wanted to do it ever again. But when you're fighting human enemies that use a shock stick or a lightsaber, the game's really fun. There's just a lot of giant spiders in here for some reason. I'd say the time spent fighting stormtroopers versus crappy aliens is split about 50-50, so therefore, like, half the game is fun and the rest is meh. But wait a second, combat is only one half of this game. The rest of the game consists of my two least favorite things in the entire universe: Metroidvania-esque exploration and Uncharted-style platforming. The first one's a personal taste thing. I know there's tons of people who enjoy exploring vast, interconnected levels with tons of secrets and areas you have to come back to later once you have certain upgrades, but I'm not really a big fan of that. I'm more of a linear campaign type guy, but again, that's just me. However, the thing I feel fully justified in hating is the overabundance of garbage tier platforming is just blatantly there to pad out the game's runtime. I was worried when in the E3 demo they unironically showed 20 seconds of your guy climbing a wall like that was supposed to be cool gameplay footage, and lo and behold, the final game is full of that crap. I've yet to meet a single person who says, I really like the part of the recent AAA game where you hold down the stick to slowly climb up part of a wall that's painted a different color for some reason. And yet, it seems every third-person game these days is determined to have terrible climbing sections that pose no challenge and serve only to waste your time. But hey, maybe you do enjoy this type of gameplay. And if that's the case, I have another game that's right up your alley. There's also a few fairly challenging puzzles scattered throughout the game. The puzzles themselves are easy. The challenge comes from trying not to fall asleep while you slowly execute the solution. I highly doubt anybody saw the cover of this game and thought, man, I hope this lightsaber Jedi game lets me solve the ancient Dwemer puzzles of Mazinshaleft. Now, at this point, I'll admit, I've been a little overly negative towards the game, and as we all know, anger is not the Jedi way, so I'm just gonna take some deep breaths and try to relax.
The hate is swelling in you now. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
Yeah, you're right, Palpy, screw it. The story follows a bunch of morons who are trying to find a Jedi holocron that contains a giant list of Force-sensitive children. They're also being hunted by the Empire, who would very much like to kill everyone on said list of Force-sensitive children. Also, the main bad guy has a cool helmet, but they stopped wearing it halfway through the game. I wanted to see more of the cool helmet. Also, there's still motion blur even after you turn off motion blur in the settings. Also, there's Inquisitors in this game, which reminds me Star Wars Rebels exists. Also, your guy runs really weird. At the end of the day, Jedi Fallen Order is your average action-adventure game, but it's elevated slightly by the fact that it's Star Wars. No matter how much of a jaded cynic you are, hitting people with a lightsaber is very fun. Not as fun as Jedi Knight, not as fun as The Force Unleashed, but still fun nonetheless. On a scale of Super Bombad Racing to LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, Jedi Fallen Order gets Revenge of the Sith for the PS2, and that's actually an extremely accurate rating.
This whole area here, we just have spiders.
It's all spiders.
So we need to do something to make it. It feels a little dull.